Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
We're going to keep you here, keep the Minister here a little bit more as we explore what happens when a problem turns into a crisis. And in this next film, we meet three individuals, each kicked out of their private lodging when things got tough. In one case, a lady with a 2-day-old baby. They were residents at Waltham Forest in north-east London, where council housing is sparse. They were moved out to the Hertfordshire town of Welwyn Garden City and given a studio room in which to raise their children.
Olivia, be careful. God, they're so noisy. This is Boundary House, Welwyn Garden City, miles away from London. Been here 6 months with 2 kids.
And how's that going?
It's not going well at all. There's 45 studio flats here, and as I know, they're all occupied with single parents with their kids. This is my place here, 42.
Okay.
This is the single room, me and my 2 kids sleep.
Okay.
1 bed.
This is a studio flat.
Studio.
And you've got 2 children.
2 children.
Okay, so where does everyone sleep?
We all sleep on that bed over here.
Okay. So there's 3 of you in
Yeah,
one bed.
yeah, over here.
Okay.
This is the bed area. My partner and I was living in the property with the kids, and he got into some trouble, and he's in prison at the moment, and they evicted me from the property because it was a housing association.
Yeah.
And I got evicted, went to the council, spent the whole day there. Until about 6:30 in the evening, they told me that they're sending me to Welwyn Garden. Never heard of this place before.
What did the council say? Because presumably you've spoken to the council about the cramped conditions here.
Yeah, I emailed them, because when you phone them, you don't get them. You never get the response. I emailed them from October, and nobody responded to me. Nobody.
Hi Shirley, how are you doing? Are you okay? I'll come in, yeah?
Go for it.
Wow. Why were you moved here? What happened?
I don't know. I put in a request for emergency accommodation, which
This was
in Waltham Forest. Yeah, I've lived the last 10 years in the borough in Waltham Forest, and I have obviously a connection there. I studied there, I work there, and everything. But my whole family's there. My whole family. I have no one within minimum an hour from here. No one at all. My biggest worry is the heating, obviously, because, come on, like, she needs to sleep warm at night, and she doesn't. I mean, if I'm cold, I can imagine how she is,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, to begin with, this is, I don't even know how it functions properly without this.
Yeah.
It has come on, which was probably 4 days ago, the last time it turned on. The day I was discharged from the hospital. I came here, it was around 10 o'clock at night. And there was no heating. Right, there was electric and gas, but there was no heating. So I phoned the emergency number at 10 o'clock at night and let them know the issue. She was 2 days old, and the room was freezing cold, and they said all they can do was take a message. They said that they'll get back to me in the morning. 11 o'clock came and no one came, so I had to phone again, and they said that they had no message recorded.
Abigail, I've just been meeting some of the women in the block who've been moved here from central London.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how long you've been here for?
I've been here for almost 3 years. I came here in March 2014. So this year, March, will be like 3 years since I've been here.
Yeah.
It's been a nightmare.
How did you end up here? What happened?
I used to rent privately, and the landlord realized I was pregnant, and he didn't want any babies in the property, so he evicted me. I went to the council for help, and the council was like, we don't have any properties available. The only thing we can do is just send you off to Hertfordshire. Basically, everything is in the same room. This is where we all sleep. The kitchen, the bedroom, the sitting room, everything is all in one room. We all sleep here.
Yeah.
And this is basically the living room, which is right next to the bed, and the kitchen. I work in London as well, so it's not been easy for me to keep going back and forth, traveling like over 20 miles to work.
Yeah.
Every day is a nightmare. The cost is a nightmare. I spend more than half my wages on transportation fees. My older daughter, Maya, she knows that where we live is like different from where most people live, because every time we go to other places and there's separate kitchen and a separate bathroom and a separate living room and bedroom, she noticed the difference between there and this place. Obviously, she's a girl growing up. She wants to play around. She wants to have a normal life like a little girl, but she can't have that because we're stuck in this box room.
Some of the voices from emergency accommodation. Waltham Forest Council told us they do all they can to house people in the borough. It's working to repair any substandard accommodation. Joining me now, Roger Harding from Shelter, the housing crisis charity, and Gavin Barwell, Housing Minister. Your thoughts watching that, Gavin?
Well, I think that's the most sort of shocking illustration of the scale of the problem that we're trying to tackle. If you went back years ago, you'd find the most common reason for people becoming homeless would be relationship breakdown, people fleeing abuse. Today, it's people that lose a private rented sector tenancy and cannot find anywhere else to live. And the last lady in the clip there was someone who's working. It's not someone, she had a job, but she simply cannot find any accommodation that she can afford.
And Roger, this is everywhere, right? This is not just Walthamstow, it's not just Welwyn Garden City. This is something you recognise probably throughout the UK.
I was going to say, yeah, throughout the country, and certainly not confined to London. I think we've already seen tonight the full range of the housing crisis from people there in the sharpest end of it, having to raise children in one room, but we've equally obviously seen younger people priced out. There are many children living at home with their parents far longer than they should have to as well.
Could this be solved if more council houses were built?
It could definitely be sold if we build more homes, and particularly build more council homes, but also a range of genuinely affordable homes. We're not building enough, but the homes that we are building, frankly, aren't affordable at the moment to many people on lower middle incomes at the moment. And one of the crucial reasons for that is that land is too expensive. We've got a development model that encourages developers to bid for land, and the developer that wins a bid for land is the one that is the most bullish about how many homes they can squeeze on a plot, bullish about what they can charge for it, and bullish about minimising the contribution to the local community. So we've got to get tougher on getting cheaper land into the system.
Isn't the simplest way then to get that supply of housing, the easiest way to allocate housing to those who need and make it fair and affordable, is to let the councils build it?
Yep, so that's part of the answer, and the white paper says that's part of the answer. I don't think it's the sole solution, because if you take the three people we had on previously, their aspiration is to get on the housing ladder. They're not looking for a council home, they want to have the opportunity to own themselves. But if you're looking at tackling the problem of the rising level of homelessness, that's definitely part of the answer.
But they can't at the moment because of the borrowing cap. They just can't.
So they can often do it now through local housing companies that sit outside the housing revenue account. We're very keen to encourage that. There's some extra money in the white paper. But it's not just councils, housing associations as well can help people in need. And the Chancellor added £1.4 billion to the budget in the autumn statement. And we also listened to housing charities who said that budget was just about shared ownership, and actually we needed accommodation for affordable rent.
But the LGAs are begging you to lift the cap. At the moment, they can't increase the amount that they borrow because it goes on to, you know, the national sum.
Why
don't you let them? Why don't you let them?
Because
do
we
their own
can't afford
borrowing?
it as a country. You know, if you literally removed the borrowing cap and allowed councils to borrow as much money as they did, it would make the fiscal situation that we're in even worse.
They're building an asset. This is something for future generations. It's not about running the country into more debt. This is about solving a problem, a crisis that you yourself have recognised.
It is additional government borrowing, so we have to find other ways to get around this problem. And if you, as I said, if you look at the capital budget we have for housing, we've doubled it. We're going to double it over the course of this
And they don't even
Parliament.
keep the proceeds from Right to Buy. They keep, what, a third of it?
So
why couldn't they keep 100% of what they actually...
We use some of that Right to Buy money to pay off debt, but we give them enough money to do replacement of the home, and that's absolutely critical. I think historically with Right to Buy, yes, it helped people that wanted to own their own home, but you didn't get the homes replaced. And since we reinvigorated it, we've insisted that those homes need to be replaced, and I think that's absolutely critical.
But you can see the consequence of not doing this is you push more people into the private sector, which is a sector which you can't, and you've already admitted, regulate enough.
So we absolutely need more affordable housing, housing association, council housing, and we are doing that. We are putting extra money. The budget is increasing very significantly. Sadiq Khan, who is not a political ally of the government, said the money that we've given him, £3.15 billion, is the biggest ever budget London has had for affordable housing.
The new money is definitely very welcome. We call for that, and that is great to see. But we could be an awful lot more ambitious on this. After the Second World War, ravaged by war and the Blitz, where the country was genuinely on the verge of bankruptcy, we managed to have the kind of zeal and ambition then to build a huge new generation of council homes, but we could build those and a wide variety of homes, and we've kind of lost that will and drive to create that. And the white paper today asks a lot of the right questions in a lot of areas. But what I'd really like to see from the government is the government quickly comes up with answers, because it is a consultation, it's not a firm set of proposals. So it's hard to know quite what this will deliver at the moment. We'll need to see quicker answers.
I mean, Cameron talked about being brave and ambitious. When was it? 5 years ago. You've had thousands of consultations and looks at this. You've recognised the problem. At what point do you do something that is recognised to be a really bold and ambitious, radical move?
So we've
this
done.
Isn't it? You have to admit this, isn't
I don't
it?
admit that at all. So I would say two things to you. First of all, we have done a lot. We inherited the lowest level of house building since the 1920s, and it has gone up very significantly, but it is still not high enough. You know, I think if you look at how you need to improve performance, what you're looking for is a silver bullet. A single thing that's going to transform.
No,
I don't think it
you
exists.
can call it a silver bullet after you've been tackling the problem for 30 years and you've been in government for 7. That's not a silver bullet. That's a very slow-flying paper aeroplane.
You're asking for one
hasn't
simple solution
landed.
to this, and it does not exist. What we actually need is a whole load of different policy interventions to release more land, to speed up the process from planning permission to building, and to diversify the range of people building homes, and that's what we're doing.
No, correct, but crucially, we've done this before, and we're seeing across Europe lots of other countries who are building significantly more than us and have ramped up far quicker than we've done at the moment, because they've given this more of a political push than we've seen here to date. And also we've seen more action there, and in Scotland as well, around creating more security for tenants.
It's fear of your own backbenchers. It's fear of doing anything that will upset the Tory base when you talk about the Green Belt, even though the Green Belt is not exactly a
No, I think Conservative MPs want us to get building more homes, and I agree with you entirely. What this is about is political priority, and I think it's unarguable that Theresa May has ramped this issue up the agenda. You know, she talked very passionately in her first speech as Prime Minister outside the door of Number 10 about making this a country that works for everyone, and you can only do it if you fix our broken housing market.
OK, thank you both very much. Thank you.
I've been getting away with it all